Okay, so get this. You ready for a deep dive into divine signs? We went through all your notes, and let me tell you, some of these are pretty wild. I mean, you want to talk about tuning into the universe, right? Like
Yeah.
picking up on those subtle whispers from something bigger.
It's definitely a fascinating area to explore. What's interesting is that the source material frames this all from a pretty Christian perspective, but I think a lot of these concepts can really resonate with anyone,
Yeah.
regardless of their specific, beliefs.
So true. Okay, so first up, we got to talk about deja vu. You ever get that feeling like you've literally stepped into a scene from your own past, and it's not just a mental hiccup, right? The source is suggesting it could be a sign that you're on the right path, maybe even some kind of preordained path. What do you think?
Whoa, preordained path. That's pretty wild, right? The whole concept of deja vu has been a puzzle for thinkers for centuries, really. Even Carl Jung, that famous psychologist, tied it to his concept of synchronicity. Those meaningful coincidences that just defy explanation. And there are even, scientific theories out there exploring whether deja vu could be like a neurological phenomenon, a glitch in how our brains perceive time.
Oh, totally. I've definitely had moments where deja vu kind of stopped me in my tracks, like, hold on, haven't I been here before? It's almost like a cosmic echo or something. The source even mentions someone getting hit with deja vu when they were starting a new project, and it felt like a confirmation that they were headed in the right direction.
That feeling of recognition, of just knowing something before it happens, can be incredibly powerful. I mean, some people even believe it's a message from our subconscious,
Mhm.
or even like a glimpse into a past life. Regardless of the explanation, it's definitely something that can shake us up and make us question our perception of reality.
For sure, for sure. Speaking of feeling guided, though, let's talk about inexplicable protection. You know, those times when you narrowly avoid danger, like it feels like someone or something was watching over you.
Yeah, absolutely. The source material dives into some pretty, biblical examples like guardian angels swooping in to save the day.
Yeah.
But even if you're not, into that whole belief system, I think we've all had those close call moments that left us feeling incredibly grateful, maybe a little bit bewildered too.
Oh, totally. Like one time I was driving home super late and I suddenly felt this urge, like I had to slow down. And wouldn't you know it, a deer runs out of nowhere right in front of my car. I swear, if I hadn't listened to that gut feeling, I might not be here talking to you right now.
Wow, that's talk about a close call. It's like something, maybe call it intuition or a sixth sense. It's definitely whispering to you, hit the brakes. The source tells a similar story too about a student walking home late at night feeling scared, and then bam, a friend shows up out of nowhere offering a ride. Like the universe knew exactly what they needed.
Okay, so now for a topic that might be a little tougher to swallow. Abrupt life changes. I mean, nobody likes getting curveballs thrown at them, right? You lose your job, a relationship ends. It can feel like your whole world is falling apart. But the source actually has a really interesting take on this. It suggests that these sudden changes, even though they can be painful, could actually be divine pushes toward a greater purpose.
It's like a cosmic reset button,
Yeah.
forcing us to reevaluate our priorities and open ourselves up to new possibilities. Think about the story of Jonah and the whale. He gets swallowed by a giant fish. Not exactly a pleasant experience, but ultimately it leads him to this profound transformation and a deeper connection with his faith.
Yeah. It's like we have to be shaken out of our comfort zone sometimes to discover our true potential, even if it's not always pretty. The source even mentions someone who lost their job and was devastated, but they ended up finding a passion for teaching, starting a whole new career that brought them so much fulfillment.
It's amazing how these things can be catalysts for growth, right? It's like the classic, when one door closes, another one opens,
Right.
but on a deeper, more soul-stirring level. It's an invitation to look for the hidden opportunities and the challenges, to see the potential for rebirth and renewal, even in the middle of all the chaos.
Now, this next one is a little out there, but I'm curious to get your take on it. Animals acting strangely. The source tells the story of Balaam's donkey, which supposedly saw an angel that Balaam himself couldn't see.
Oh yeah, that's a classic. And it's not just biblical tales either. So many cultures throughout history have given special meaning to animals. Ancient Egyptians revered cats, Native American traditions honor spirit animals, and even today, people believe animals have this heightened sensitivity to the unseen world.
It makes me think about my own cat, you know? Sometimes he stares at, like, absolutely nothing. Is he picking up on some kind of energy that I'm totally missing? I mean, I've always felt like animals are way more in tune with the spiritual realm than we are.
It's certainly an intriguing thought. Maybe they are messengers from beyond, or guides from the natural world, or even creatures that haven't lost that, like primal connection to the subtle energies that flow through everything.
It's like we get so caught up in our human world that we forget how to listen to the whispers of the wind, the wisdom of the trees, and maybe even the messages in the eyes of an animal that sees the world so differently than we do.
Exactly. What if those, seemingly random barks or meows or chirps are actually them trying to communicate with us,
Yeah.
trying to alert us to something important or guide us back to a more harmonious relationship with nature and the unseen forces all around us. It's an interesting thought, isn't it?
Absolutely. It makes you want to pay more attention to those moments, right? When your dog starts acting up or you see the same bird at your window every day. Maybe there's a message there just waiting to be decoded.
Yeah, I think it's definitely worth considering. At the very least, it's like opening ourselves up to a whole new language, one that goes beyond words and taps into a deeper understanding.
Okay, now let's talk about a sign I think we can all relate to. Repeating songs or melodies. Those earworms that get stuck in your head out of nowhere, you just can't shake them. The source is suggesting it could be more than just a catchy tune. What if these are messages from the universe?
Well, music has this incredible power to evoke emotions, tap into memories, and even alter our consciousness. It's no wonder that so many spiritual traditions use music in their rituals and practices. It's a language that speaks to the soul, bypassing the logical mind and connecting us to something deeper.
I know for me, certain songs have always held like a special significance, especially during big life transitions or when I've been going through something emotional. It's like the lyrics were speaking directly to me, offering comfort, guidance, or a much needed dose of inspiration.
It's amazing how music can transcend time and space, isn't it? Connecting us to specific moments, people we've loved, and even emotions that we might have buried deep down.
And it's not just the lyrics either. The melody, the rhythm, the vibe of the song, it can all evoke profound feelings and insights. The source even uses the example of King Saul finding solace and comfort in David's music. It highlights that healing power of sound and vibration.
Oh, absolutely. And, even silence can be a powerful form of music. It allows us to tune into our inner landscape, hear the whispers of our intuition, and receive guidance from beyond our conscious awareness.
Okay, wow, we've covered a lot of ground already, from deja vu to animal messengers to the power of music, but there's still so much more to explore. We'll be right back to dive into more of these fascinating divine signs, so stay tuned.
Welcome back. It's been quite the exploration so far, wouldn't you say? It's pretty amazing to think how these ordinary, everyday things can have such deep spiritual meaning.
Yeah, totally. It's like we're peeling back the layers of reality and finding a whole new dimension of meaning, of connection. Honestly, I'm already seeing the world a little differently.
That's the beauty of it all, isn't it? It opens up our minds to the possibility that there's more to life than what we see on the surface, that we're surrounded by messages and synchronicities if we just, pay attention.
So, just to recap, we've talked about deja vu, inexplicable protection, those abrupt life changes, animals acting strangely, and then those repeating songs and melodies. Each one kind of hinting at a deeper connection with the universe, a sense that, well, we're not alone on this journey.
Right, exactly. And those are just a few examples. There are tons of ways the universe can communicate if we're, open to receiving those messages.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's jump back in. Next up is angelic presence. The source connects this to, well, angels, those divine beings that watch over us. But even if you're not into that whole angel thing, I think we can all relate to the feeling of being supported by unseen forces, especially when we're going through tough times.
It's that feeling of comfort, like knowing you're not alone, even when things feel dark or uncertain. Some people might call it guardian angels or spirit guides or maybe even ancestors looking out for them. Others might just feel a connection to a higher power, a universal energy that gives them strength and comfort.
Yeah, I've totally felt that presence before, especially when I'm wrestling with a tough decision. It's like this wave of peace just washes over you, and deep down you're on the right track.
That's interesting. The source actually describes a very similar experience, emphasizing a profound sense of peace when facing a challenging choice. It's not just relief, but like a deep knowing, a feeling of alignment with something much bigger than yourself.
It's almost like your intuition is talking to you, but it's stronger than just a gut feeling. It's like a sense of certainty, of unwavering trust in whatever's unfolding in front of you.
Right, exactly. And even if you don't, believe in angels or spirit guides, you can still connect that feeling to your own inner wisdom, that intuitive guidance that's within each of us. It's about tapping into that deep knowing and trusting that you already have the answers you're looking for.
That's a beautiful way to put it. It's like we all have this inner compass guiding us toward like our true north.
And sometimes we just need to quiet all the noise around us, tune into that inner compass, and let ourselves be led by its wisdom.
Okay, now for a sign that might sound a little mystical, supernatural illumination. The source talks about seeing bright lights or having sudden aha moments, but I think we can all relate to those flashes of insight, those moments of clarity that seem to come out of nowhere, right?
It's like a light bulb going off in your head. A sudden understanding that eliminates a situation or reveals a hidden truth. The source even mentions this story about a beam of light shining specifically on a Bible verse during prayer. Whether you take that literally or metaphorically, I think the message is clear. Sometimes, guidance comes in unexpected and profound ways.
I've definitely had moments where an idea or a solution just pops into my head, completely out of the blue. It's like my subconscious was working on a problem without me realizing it, and then bam, there's the answer.
It can be so powerful, can it? Those moments can inspire creative breakthroughs, shift our perspectives, and even lead us to make life-altering decisions.
It's like a download from the universe, a gift of knowledge or inspiration that arrives right when we need it most.
Exactly. And some people believe that these moments of illumination are like facilitated by higher beings, angels or spirit guides, whispering wisdom into our ears. Others might attribute it to the power of the collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of knowledge and insight that we can all access.
Regardless of the explanation, I think it's important to honor those moments of clarity, to pay attention to those flashes of insight that light up our path.
Definitely. Those aha moments can be signposts, guiding us toward our highest potential and helping us fulfill our purpose in this lifetime.
Okay, so on to a sign that speaks to a sense of meaning and purpose, feeling called to a mission. It's that feeling that you're meant for something bigger, that you have a unique contribution to make to the world.
And it doesn't have to be about, grand gestures or saving the world. It could be about using your talents to serve your community, being a supportive friend, or simply living a life that aligns with your values.
The source really emphasizes those big, grand missions, but I think it's important to remember that everyone has their own calling. It doesn't have to look a certain way. It's about finding what lights you up, what makes you feel alive, and pursuing that with passion and purpose.
It's about listening to that voice inside that whispers you're meant for more, and having the courage to follow that calling, even if it leads you off the beaten path.
The source tells the story of Moses and how he didn't want to accept his mission to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. It reminds us that sometimes our calling can feel overwhelming, maybe even scary, but it's ultimately about trusting that we have what it takes to handle whatever challenges come our way.
And sometimes it takes a little nudge, a push from the universe to step into our power and embrace our true destiny. It's about recognizing that we're not here by accident, that each of us has a special role to play in this grand symphony of life.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground, but we have one more sign to talk about, and it's a good one: unexpected help. Those times when resources, support, or guidance just appear out of nowhere, exactly when you need them most.
Like the universe is conspiring to support you, even when you feel lost and uncertain. Think about those times when a friend offers a helping hand out of the blue, or a financial opportunity pops up unexpectedly, or you get a piece of advice that totally changes your perspective.
The source actually tells this really inspiring story about George Miller. He ran orphanages in 19th century England and never asked for donations directly. He just relied on prayer and faith. And somehow, resources always seemed to appear right when they were needed, often at the very last minute.
It's incredible, right? His unwavering faith and those countless stories of unexpected provisions are truly remarkable. Whether you attribute it to divine intervention or just the interconnectedness of everything, it's a powerful reminder that we're not alone.
Yeah, it's like we're all part of this massive web of support. And when we open ourselves up to receiving it, help can come from the most unexpected places.
And sometimes it's not even about receiving material help, but more about the guidance, the inspiration, or even those simple acts of kindness that appear just when we need them most.
Those moments can be so powerful, reminding us that there's something bigger than ourselves at work here, orchestrating things in ways we can't always understand. It's about surrendering to the flow, trusting that we're being guided and supported, even when we can't see the full picture.
Beautifully said. What strikes me is how these 10 signs, even though they seem so different, are all interconnected. They all point towards a deeper truth, that We're all connected, we're not alone, and there's something bigger than us working in our lives.
It's like we're learning this cosmic language, figuring out how to recognize the subtle ways the universe communicates with us. And the more we pay attention, the more fluent we become in this language of signs and synchronicities.
Exactly. And as we go further down this path, it's important to remember that these signs aren't meant to be taken literally or followed blindly. It's not about being superstitious or relying on external signs.
Yeah, for sure. It's not about giving up our own responsibility for our lives either.
Right. It's about cultivating awareness, noticing those nudges and synchronicities that pop up along the way, and using them as guidance to make good decisions and live a more meaningful life.
It's like we're learning to dance with the universe, listening to its rhythm, and moving in harmony with its flow.
Beautifully put. It's about finding that balance between surrender and action, between trusting the unseen forces that guide us and taking responsibility for creating our own reality.
Okay, so we've covered all 10 signs, but we've really just scratched the surface. We need to unpack what it all means and how we can actually apply this knowledge to our lives.
That's where it gets really interesting. Stick with us as we dive deeper into the practical side of these divine signs and explore how we can become more attuned to those whispers from the universe.
Okay, so we've been through these 10 divine signs, what they could mean, shared some personal stories too. But now I'm curious, how do we actually use this in our lives? Like, how do you live in tune with the universe?
The million-dollar question, right? It's one thing to get these concepts in our heads, but to really live them, to make them part of our everyday experience, well, that's a whole other level.
So where do we even start? It's like we've opened this Pandora's box of cosmic stuff, but now I'm not sure how to actually navigate it all.
I think the first thing is remembering this is a journey, not like a finish line. There's no one right way to do this, and we don't have to become enlightened gurus overnight. It's about those small steps, being open to new ways of seeing things and just trusting the process.
Okay, that makes me feel better. So maybe instead of trying to decode every single coincidence, seeing divine messages and everything, it's more about just being aware, seeing the world with a little more, I don't know, enchantment.
Exactly. It's about noticing those subtle things, those synchronicities that make you stop and think, huh, that's weird. Paying attention to your intuition, that inner voice that whispers guidance and wisdom.
So, like, don't just brush off those gut feelings as random thoughts. I would really explore them, see where they go.
Precisely. And, the interesting thing is, as we pay more attention to these subtle signs, they often become more obvious, more frequent, and easier to understand. It's like we're tuning into a cosmic radio station, and the more we listen, the clearer the signal gets.
I like that. So maybe instead of getting overwhelmed by all the potential signs, we can start small, focus on one or two that really speak to us, see how they show up in our lives.
That's a great strategy. And remember, it's not just about recognizing the signs, it's about responding to them, taking action, making choices that line up with the guidance we're getting.
So if I feel that deep sense of peace when I'm making a decision, maybe that's a sign I'm on the right track, even if it doesn't seem like the most logical or practical choice.
Exactly. And if you keep seeing the same animal or hearing the same song over and over, maybe it's time to dig a little deeper. Look into the symbolism and see what message is trying to get through.
It's like learning a whole new language, the language of the cosmos. And the better we get at it, the more meaningful our conversation with the universe becomes.
Beautifully said. And what's really exciting is that this is a journey we're on for life. There's always something new to learn, to explore, to experience.
It's like we've been given this treasure map, but the real treasure is the journey itself, the growth, the wisdom, and that connection we find along the way.
Absolutely. And remember, you're not alone in this. Talk to others about your experiences, share your insights, and support each other as you try to figure out these mysteries of the universe. We're all in this together.
I love that. It's like we're all pieces of a giant cosmic puzzle. And by sharing our experiences and what we've learned, we can help each other put that puzzle together and see the bigger picture.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this. What if every coincidence is a sign? What if every interaction, every song, every unexpected thing that happens has a deeper meaning, a message waiting to be understood?
Wow, that really makes you think. It's like seeing the world in a whole new way, where magic and meaning are everywhere.
Exactly. It's about being curious, open-minded, and never losing that sense of wonder. Trusting that the universe is always talking to us, guiding us, supporting us, and helping us reach our full potential.
This has been amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and insights with us. I feel like I've got a whole new set of tools for navigating life.
It's been my pleasure. And don't forget, the most important tool is your own intuition. Trust those gut feelings, follow your heart, and never stop exploring.
And to all our listeners out there, tell us about your experiences. Have you seen any of these divine signs in your own life? What messages have you gotten? And how have they changed things for you? We want to hear all about it.
Until next time, keep your eyes open, listen to your heart, and embrace the mystery and wonder all around you.
This is The Deep Dive, signing off.